I'm sure most of you are familiar with the concept of The Ring, right? The idea of receiving a videotape which after watching it you get a phone call and finding out that you've been cursed and you're gonna die in 7 days? No? You remember it as being a computer virus that trapped you in a building and forced you to kill strange monsters? Huh, weird. Didn't think that's how it went. Nonetheless, Nanashi no Game, or the Nameless Game as it's been translated as, sort of draws inspiration from The Ring. The game is, funny enough, all about a rumoured cursed game which kills the user after 7 days of receiving it, which is another play on the title as Nana can mean 7 in Japanese, and Shi can mean death. This game was only released in Japan and has received a fan translation so it can be experienced in English. The game was considered for an American release, and even conversations were had with a focus group, so why didn't it happen in the end? Well, it turns out the focus group didn't believe the game would do well because you couldn't shoot anything. Which was surprising given that the popularity of Asian horrors was on the rise at the time. For context going forward, I will refer to the title of the game as Nanashi no Game. In Nanashi no Game, you can choose whether to play as a male or female character. The only difference in playing as either are some story dialogue and your RPG sprite. Regardless of gender, you are a student at Nanto University in Tokyo alongside your best friend Riko and her boyfriend Odaka. The world in this game has been taken by storm by the introduction of the twin-screen handheld game system, obviously based off the Nintendo DS right down to its interface. There's a rumour going around that there is a cursed TS game which kills its user within 7 days, with people dismissing it as that, a rumour. During class one day, you receive a game transfer from Odaka, and when launched appears to be an innocent 8-bit RPG in a similar style to Dragon Quest and older Final Fantasy games. After playing the game briefly, Riko notices and lets you know that she had received and played the game as well, and Odaka hasn't been coming to class recently, and that they had a fight over the game. Riko then asks for you to go and see him, in which she'll then cover for your player because they're her best friend, joking that a guy and a girl can be best friends as a male character, or jokingly warning you not to take advantage of Odaka as a female character. After this, you would learn the basics of moving, and you would then approach Odaka's residence to find that things aren't as they seem. After exploring around and entering the game world to proceed, you find yourself in a darkened room, and after climbing up a ladder, you find Odaka who falls backwards, dead from drowning whilst holding his TS. Riko shows up afterwards and you tell her what you've found. You then find yourself playing as Riko on the train as she enters the game world. She finds Odaka who makes an accusation against Riko depending on your character's gender, and Riko then finds herself alone on the train with Odaka calling out her name. After following the train carriages and another game sequence, Riko ends up finding Odaka and disappearing. You and University Professor Uyama learn of these events, with Uyama confirming the existence of a killer curse, and together you'll investigate the cause behind it and how to stop it before your 7 days are up. But is Nanashi no Game any good? Find out in The Good. I think the game's presentation is pretty unique. There aren't a lot of games that take advantage of holding the DS sideways with the 2 screens in portrait mode. For Nanashi no Game, this presentation is used for the visual novel segments that progress the story, as well as the exploration of the real-world locations in a first-person view. I also find that the 2 screens in portrait mode also restricts your field of view, adding to the tension of the game's atmosphere and the horrors that you have to face along the way. The RPG segments and the menu screen that you have to access in order to play the game at key points or read emails is structured in the same way as the Nintendo DS's menu, and had the game been played on one at the time, really adds to the immersion that the cursed game is really on your DS. Accessing the game on your TS outside of the mandatory RPG sections will display a bench on a cliffside. When the character is in danger and there are enemies around, that image will turn fuzzy to warn them. This feature is pretty handy to help prepare yourself for what's ahead, as you'll need everything you can get to deal with the forces standing in your way. The combination of a cursed 8-bit game with first-person exploring I found exciting, and how the 8-bit RPG and the first-person exploring worked together was handled beautifully. The game also makes excellent use of binaural audio, similar to what's used in the updated and later Corpse Party games. For those of you who don't know what binaural audio is, it's a special recording setup using 2 microphones, commonly through what's called a dummy head recording, where a mannequin head has a microphone set up where the left and right ears would be. Sounds and music would be played in the room with the microphones to achieve a 3D audio effect, which is best experienced when the game is played with headphones. What this means is that if you're playing the game with headphones and there's an enemy behind you, the noises it make will sound like the enemy is actually behind you. The game music can be heard in the distance in some areas to give you an idea of where it's coming from, and this is best shown when you're exploring Odaka's apartment. The game also tends to keep you on your toes by having noises playing or things happening to break the silence, and uses this to great effect. The game's soundtrack is effective as well, as the 8-bit tune of the Curse game gets more corrupted the further in you get, and props to the approach to really give the retro RPG that 8-bit game feel. Also, if you listen out while exploring the Nakano Broadway shopping complex, a real location, you'll enter Mandarake, a well-known retailer which also exists in the actual Nakano Broadway. And you'll even hear a jingle sung by Hatsune Miku, which I thought was pretty cool. If you stick around a little longer, that jingle even gets corrupted too. The sound and music supports the game's presentation and really helps build on the game's atmosphere. The game's story I think was pretty solid as well. As you get deeper into what caused the Curse game to exist in the first place, you will come across regrets. Regrets are spirits of people killed by the Curse game and take the form of a pale ghost with no eyes and an open mouth. From the hospital level onwards, they will appear to try and stop you from uncovering the mystery. They may patrol parts of a level, stand in the way, or actively chase you. You will need to find ways around them or get away from them, as if they catch up to you, or if you're too close, it's game over. There's no weapons you can use to fend them off, so running or finding your way around the regrets are the only things stopping you from being added to the list of victims claimed by the game, and starting from a checkpoint which can be quite far back in a level if you're not careful. This gets even more dangerous when you play the game in Blind Terror/Unseen mode, which is unlocked after clearing the game. This makes the regrets effectively invisible until they're very close to you, in which case it's usually too late, so you need to rely on your memory as to where the regrets are and how they behave, or your sense of hearing. The locations you visit as part of the story really adds to the atmosphere as well, and the game makes excellent use of the number 4, an unlucky number in Asian culture due to its association with death. Places you visit range from an abandoned hospital, an office in Nakano Broadway, an abandoned house, and an abandoned hotel, to name most of them, though you can probably see a theme here. The atmosphere and story gets revealed as you explore the locations, and it was interesting, though somewhat cliched, finding out how the Curse game came to be. The game features 2 endings, and the good ending of the game requires you to find certain items on each day except for the final day. These items are only found in the RPG section of the game, and they mostly tend to be hidden in background items. The game also explores some themes of the Japanese work culture, and this forms a key part of the game's plot, though I will stop there, as if I go any further, I'd be spoiling the game. With that, we've reached the end of what I found good with the game, so let's discuss its faults in the bad. I'm not really a fan of your movement speed. Your character walks at a very slow pace, and you can move slightly faster by holding the stylus on the centre of the touchscreen. I can probably understand that the movement speed was made slow intentionally to help build the fear and tension elements, but when being chased by a regret, I wouldn't fast walk to escape. The limited field of view can also work against you if you're in an area with obstacles like tables and chairs around, as sometimes you can get stuck trying to go around them, which also doesn't work so well when chased. There is only one time your character will actually run at a faster pace in the game, and that is after a certain encounter at the hospital. The game's controls also struggle when climbing upstairs, as I felt it was quite clunky. Oh, by the way, if you're left-handed, I'm not, then you're out of luck, as the game does not have a left-handed feature, so you will need to rely on holding the stylus to move faster, and look around with your right hand. The game is a bit on the short side and can be completed in about 4 hours. The only need to replay the game is to collect the items for the good ending, or if you want to challenge yourself, replay the game in blind terror/unseen mode. I think to add to the difficulty, perhaps not only make the regrets harder to see in the new mode, maybe even rearrange or change the movement patterns of them randomly to challenge the player, as once you know where they appear and how they move, the game loses a lot of its fear factor and tension. Also not keen on Professor Uyama's emails constantly coming through, as well as the frequency, which really breaks the atmosphere of exploring the area you're in, and you'll hear a notification when you receive one. As a matter of fact, you're the one doing all the legwork while Uyama tells you what to do, and he also tends to omit important details. Some of the more questionable choices aren't even elaborated on further or brought to light, such as visiting the office of the game developer at Nakano Broadway at 9 PM, and being told that you have an appointment with them booked at 10 PM. Nonetheless, I think I've complained enough, so let's wrap things up with the opinion. I enjoyed Nanashi no Game. The game's at its strongest with its presentation, which is complemented by its sound design and music as well as story. The game's controls are awkward to get used to, and the movement speed could have been something to improve on. The presentation also works against the game, with the field of view becoming a hindrance when trying to go around obstacles, though I do appreciate the unique approach. The game is a little bit on the short side and there's little replay value, but the overall concept is good enough for me to overlook these setbacks. There's not that many DS horror games, but if you like horrors and the concept of the ring interests you, then I would definitely give this game a go. If you can get past the controls, I think the game's worth it. If you happen to enjoy reading manga, I would also recommend having a read of one called Portus, as that's about a cursed game as well. So with that, it's time for my rating. I would give Nanashi no Game a white TS out of 10. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.